You know, knowledge can be a powerful thing, but wisdom is knowing how to apply knowledge in practical situations, and that's even better. Practical life application is what makes knowledge so useful. It's great to know how a parachute works. It really is fascinating to understand the physics and how parachutes are made. But when you jump out of a plane, you don't want to jump out with just some knowledge about a parachute. You want to jump out with an actual parachute on your back. You want to actually use the knowledge that you have in a practical way that saves your life. And, you know, faith is a little bit like that as well. You can learn all kinds of things about the Christian faith, and that might be interesting and perhaps helpful from time to time. But it's when you learn to apply it in your everyday life and the challenges that you face and to actually rely on it, that's when it starts to really come into its own, to begin to change the way that you see the reality in which you live. You know, a lot of people will come to church on Christmas Day. Great time to come to church. Fantastic. Wonderful. Really nice to see them. But then we don't see them for the rest of the year. And I always sit there and I think to myself, these people probably leave with an understanding of some elements of the Christmas story. They leave with some understanding of the basic truths of the Christian faith. But there doesn't seem to be any indication that they apply that at any point in their lives for the rest of the year. And that's pretty terrifying. And it's not just them. There are some people who are super religious who come every single Sunday to church. But the problem is Sunday is God's day for them. That's the day that they think about God. And then they go from Monday to Saturday without applying any of it to their everyday lives. I find that really tragic because that understanding will not help you unless you apply it, unless it becomes something upon which you rely in the challenges that you face daily. You know, this coronavirus pandemic has really shown us that life can be a daily challenge, whether you are struggling with illness or you're in lockdown or you're just trying to figure out what to do with your children. Life can be challenging. And even if you're not in a pandemic, even in normal times, you know, the things that we've been talking about this week, particularly death doesn't have a day off. Death doesn't schedule himself to come once a year. Every day is filled with situations and challenges that are beyond our control. And it's great to have some knowledge about death, but it's better to understand how to apply the Christian faith every day, in case today is a day that you need to understand the hope that it brings. Isaiah spoke about this a lot in chapter 28 of his book, and as he was speaking to people, he reminded them of the scourge of death and the fact that it comes every day. As often as it comes morning after morning, by day and by night, they needed to understand how to deal with it. And the same thing is true today. The same thing is true of the challenges in this life, and particularly illness and sickness and death. It's a daily reality. And perhaps you were thinking to yourself, well, I don't face it daily, but somebody does. And if you think about it like that, it brings it home. It makes it a reality that we are always under threat from the scourge that we can't beat. So what does the Christian faith have to offer in this kind of situation? Well, actually, the same solution that Isaiah was proposing to the people is the same solution for us today. To not live in the fear of death, to not live in a place where understanding that death is around us all day brings us terror. We have to have a foundation, a sure foundation that gets us through our everyday lives. Isaiah described God's foundation stone, his cornerstone, his precious stone, as that foundation. He was talking about the Messiah, the one who would come, upon whom we can rely when the storms of life come against us, upon whom we can rely every single day. You know, the foundation of a house isn't just there for stormy days. It's there for every day. It doesn't move. It's constantly the thing upon which the house is built. And the Christian faith is like that. The Christian faith is there for us every day. It is a foundation stone upon which we are built. Jesus is that foundation stone. And understanding how to find comfort from him every day, to rely on him every day, is the real secret to Christianity. Because Christianity is not just a religion. It's not about doing certain things or rituals or coming to church on a particular day. It's a daily relationship with God. It's a daily relationship walking as a disciple of Jesus Christ. So I want to challenge you today to think about how you are applying your faith in your circumstances right now. Instead of spending hours and hours studying theology, perhaps it would be more useful for us to think about ways to practically live out our faith, the way Jesus called us to. I hope that today you will seize the day. You will use it as an opportunity to grow in your faith, and that you will learn new ways to apply the lessons that you've already learned to new and changing situations. You know, the lessons never go out of date because there are so many life applications that we learn every single day. But only if we rely on this stone, on the cornerstone, on the one that God has sent to be our foundation for all of life. Not just for Sundays, not just for Christmas, and not just for when we're facing death in a pandemic, but for every day and for every storm of life.